So I'm 6 weeks out from the UKBFF Nationals now, and over the past few months I've been really focusing on increasing my lean muscle mass and trying to stay sort of leanish so I don't have too much to do when it comes to sort of dieting and cutting. And now I'm about 6 weeks out. I'm going to start to pay a little bit more attention to the macros that I'm eating and try and experiment with my body a little bit more just to see how it reacts. I've started to put in a really high carbohydrate day once a week, and that's the only real macro that I've been counting on that day. So I take 400 grams of carbohydrates in and try and keep my fats relatively low. And that's quite difficult, so I'm using a lot of sweet potatoes, rice cakes, things like popcorn, just to try and get those carbohydrates up and replenish all my glycogen stores. And then always on a Monday I have a really heavy sort of leg session to really make the use of those carbohydrates. I still haven't put in any cardio yet. It's something that I might do this week. Maybe just put in a couple of high intensity interval sessions once a week and increase it over the time I have now to my comp. In terms of physically where I am, I'm sitting at about 52 to 53 kilos at the moment, and I kind of want to compete at about 52. So in terms of weight loss specifically, I don't want to lose loads of weight, as I competed at 50 kilos before, and I was told I was too lean, and I know I have gained some muscle, but I'm still holding a little bit in the typical female places. I'm holding some fat here, which hopefully over the next 6 weeks I'll get rid of. But other than that, I've been working really hard to increase my glutes and holding a little bit of fat just underneath the bottom of my glutes, a really common female place, and as well as holding some fat on the back of my arms. My back stays quite lean, and I don't hold too much fat over my chest area either. So I've got to be careful that this doesn't get too sort of bony, because I get marked down on that as well. I tried to do a high fat low carb day just to see how my body would react, and I really struggled to sleep without having any carbohydrates. I think I had about 80 grams during the day, and that was including fibrous carbs. So I think I had a bowl of oats and a little bit of rice and some veg, and that sort of made up my carbs for that day. But it didn't work for me because I couldn't sleep, which meant that I didn't have a good workout the next day and I felt pretty rubbish. So I know that with my lifestyle, going low carbs doesn't work. So implementing a carbohydrate cycle probably wouldn't work, because I'm fairly busy on every day, and even having a low carb day on a weekend, I don't want to feel ratty on a day off sort of thing. In terms of my training, 6 weeks left, so I'm going to do, this week is a heavy week, and then we've got a moderate intensity week next week, and then we've got a high rep week the week after, so that's for the next 3 weeks. Got a cramp in my leg. So my heavy leg day yesterday, which was a Monday, I did 6x6, obviously warm up. Of my working sets, I did 6x6 squats at 150% body weight, and then 6x6 deads at double body weight, and then I did sumo squats at 60 kilos, 6x6 of those, and that would be sort of the only things I would do on a heavy week. And I think it's really common for people in the fitness and nutrition sort of world to think, and the general public to think, that if some of something is good, then more must be better. And especially if you're thinking about training heavy, to not put so many exercises into a training session is a positive thing. Training, if I was in there for much longer than an hour, my stress hormones would rise. I would start to fatigue. There's more chance I would get injury. And so keeping to workouts, at least under an hour and a half, is really important because more isn't always better. And that comes to sort of nutrition as well. I run nutrition workshops every week just to help people increase their knowledge of different macronutrients and the timings and things like that. And we were discussing fibre this week. And something really common there is people tend to increase their fibre dramatically, and then they get constipation and bloating, and so they stop taking that fibre. So something like fibre is really important to increase really slowly in the diet, alongside water as well, and make sure you have the mix of soluble and insoluble fibres. In terms of my nutrition for the next week, I'm gonna kind of do a carbohydrate cycle, but I'm not doing a low carb day because, like I said, it doesn't work. I take my protein now, in terms of my meat and my eggs and things like that, in 3 main larger portions throughout the day. It fits more within my lifestyle, and due to, if you research things like the refractory effect of the amino acid leucine, which is responsible for stimulating muscle protein synthesis. So leucine's responsible for starting to build muscles up and repair those tears in the muscles that you form from weight training. There's some evidence that does suggest it is more beneficial to eat larger portions of the protein less regularly, and it also fits in with my lifestyle much better. And in between those meals, I snack on mainly fats and a little bit of carbs. I think a lot of people in the industry have certainly clung on to the eating every 2 to 3 hours, and there is obviously some benefits to that, some satiety benefits. It prevents you feeling really hungry, and especially when you're dieting, to know that your next meal is only a couple of hours away could have psychological benefits. Obviously, having the protein at more regular intervals, protein has a slightly higher thermogenic effect on the body, which means it takes more energy for the body to break down and utilise as a fuel than a carbohydrate or fatty food. So it raises the metabolic rate a bit. However, it's not massive amounts, and for me it's more important that I stimulate the muscle synthesis more than it is I raise the metabolism, because the last thing that I want to do is lose the muscle that I have gained. And really important is on the strength as well. My strength at the moment is still going up, and comparing this to my last prep, that wasn't happening there. I was losing a lot of strength, especially sort of on my legs. So I've been training legs 3 times a week. I'm going to continue to train them 3 times a week one week, and 2 times the week the next week when I sort of swap it for a chest workout, because I find that my chest is stimulated quite quickly. So, and as a female, you sort of don't want massive chest muscles because it can start to look a bit masculine, especially if you're in the bikini category. In terms of my bikini, I've either got a friend making it if she's got time. If not, I just wear the same one as I wore in the qualifiers, which has a nice red one with little diamantes. Other than that, everything else seems to be going on track. I'm trying to still enjoy it as much as possible. It's still very much fitting into my lifestyle. I'm not having to change any of my lifestyle in order to do the contest. For example, I was taken out to dinner last weekend, had a 3-course meal, but it's just about making this sort of, it's now that I'm so close, I'm just trying to make the right choices, be really aware. So what did I have? I had egg and asparagus to start with, and then a sort of salmon and sesame seed for main course, and then for dessert I had some ice cream, The only food I avoid is gluten because I find it really inflames my joints. But I'm still keeping in the dairy products, which a lot of people take out. But I'm very much, I don't see the point unless there's an absolute need, such as an intolerance or an allergy to a particular food. There's any need to remove anything from the diet. So basically the changes this week I'm going to make, I've got a heavy training week, which I love. So got another 4 really heavy training sessions. There'll be, all exercises will be done for 6 repetitions. I have about a minute between sets, and I'll do 4 to 6 sets of every exercise. I'm going to put in 1 high intensity interval training session after one of my workouts, and that'll be just for 10 minutes, and I'll probably do that either through burpees or on a rower. Then perhaps the following weekend I might try and get to a boot camp, as that will use body weight as well. It was working the cardiovascular system. Really lucky on my high rep week, I find that works my cardiovascular system enough to maintain sort of a leanness. And other than that, it's going to be, I don't feel quite as stressed as I did last week. It's a bit of an emotional week. My little boy turned 5 and he starts school as well, so there's going to be a few emotions flying around, so I've just got to be aware not to let them stress me out, I suppose. But other than that, I will update in another week.